Hello, my name is Jamie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Unlike any other YouTube channel that showcases Pokemon Go PvP content, mine exclusively showcases Shadow Pokemon. So, if you're into that type of content, I'd appreciate if you could like and subscribe.
So, let's get into today's video. It's been a while. I do apologise, I did actually work 84 hours this week, hence my voice is probably sounding a bit croaky as I am still very tired. So, this is the first video of Season 9. These are my first battles of Season 9. I had 6 days off, so we are a bit rusty, but obviously the early ranks are the Wild West. Today, we are going to be testing out 2 new buffed Shadow Pokemon. We're going to be trying out the Shadow Poliwrath with its new move of Scald, which I've replaced the usual move of Ice Punch. We're going to be running that with Mud Shot, Scald and Dynamic Punch. As team partners today, we're going to have to try out the buffed Drapion. Drapion was an absolute MVP last season. They got me across the line in my Shadow only challenge. But we was running it with Aqua Tail and Sludge Bomb. Today we are going to be running that with Aqua Tail and the buffed Crunch. And his team partner is going to be Shadow Hypno for no reason other than I really like Hypno. I haven't used it in a while. That's going to be on Confusion, Ice Punch and Thunder Punch. Without any further ado, let's get straight into the battles. In game 1, we pick up what I would imagine to be a fairly neutral lead against the Abomasnow. However, it is actually running Razor Leaf. So we save switch into Drapion after building up a bit of energy. And they then switch out into a very unusual pick of Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo isn't actually a bad Pokemon. It does use your on counter, Earthquake, and I believe Rock Slide or Stone Edge. So all its moves are quite expensive. So a Drapion can hit it for super effective with these Aqua Tails. And with our Poison Sting, it's only taken us 4 to get there and we are really spamming it. We have now got both of those shields and at this point I'm happy to let Drapion go down. There is the Stone Edge. Now we can bring back in Poliwrath, over farm quite a lot. That's their 6th counter just before they get to another Stone Edge. We're going to fire off this Scald. If they bring back in the Abomasnow, which they do, we're only 1 Mud Shot away from this Dynamic Punch. And Dynamic Punch is going to be more than enough to take out Abomasnow. And then we've got our Hypno up 2 shields against this Lapras in the back. This Lapras again is probably on the wrong moveset. It is running Frost Breath, but we are in the early ranks, so we know not everyone is always that keen on PvP and knows what's best. So right now we can just go for this second Thunder Punch and that's going to be enough to take game 1. GG's to that opponent. Moving on into game 2. We have a matchup against Diggersby. This is a pretty good lead for us. They actually save swap into a Lantern that is on Spark. I am going to take this opportunity to land a Dynamic Punch as this is the first time I powered up the Shadow Poliwrath, so we are going to do some science. That Dynamic Punch does over half health to an absolute bulk monster in Lantern. We now save swap into our Drapion. I'm counting on the 6th Spark. I am throwing this Crunch just before they get to another charge move. They do shield. We can tank this next move. It's going to be a Thunderbolt as they haven't got enough for a Hydro Pump. I was hoping that we would get to this move before they got their 7th Spark, so I wouldn't have to have took that move. However, we do maintain switch and the opponent brings out their 3rd Pokemon. It's actually a Shadow Kanto Ninetales, a very cool pick and it is a Pokemon I do like. So we're just going to bring Hypno here in as a bit of a damage sponge as we do want Poliwrath to sweep as this is a Poliwrath showcase. So it looks like the opponent is going to be going for another Weather Ball. We don't need to shield, we will survive this. I am cautious of the swap. Swap doesn't come, so I throw in the middle of the Fire Spin animation and I throw this Thunder Punch. We draw the opponent's last shield and I switch into Poliwrath. They do now have enough for the Psyshock, so this is where I'm going to choose to use my last shield. Correctly shield the Psyshock. And I'm looking to commit to the Mud Shot down. Opponent throws again. This is only a Weather Ball. And we are going to be able to survive. The opponent now switches out. We've got the Dynamic Punch loaded. So this Dynamic Punch is going to do huge damage. We go for the back-to-back Dynamic Punch. I go for Dynamic Punch over Scald. Although both are super effective. Dynamic Punch is better DPE. And 1 Mud Shot takes the game. So GG's to that opponent. We pick up a lead against a Shadow Gramble. This is terrible. We save swap into Drapion and we're met with a Shadow Nidoqueen. This match actually is the battle of the 2 triple shadows. So, getting back into this matchup, we go for an Aqua Tail which does draw the shield. Drapion is such a spam monster. We're already at the second one. The opponent lets it go through and they're already down to about 30% health. They've done 8 poison jabs. This could be an earth power, so we do shield it up. We correctly shield the earth power, and at this stage we are going to overfarm and get to this next Aqua Tail. I highly doubt the opponent will shield, as they know they are going to lose switch at this point. The opponent now brings out their third shadow, which is an Aerodactyl. Another cool pick, something I am going to look to try out as I haven't tried it out yet. They rock throw us down. So I am now going to bring out the Poliwrath, as obviously it doesn't want to see the Granbull. Back out comes the Granbull. However, it has got no shields to protect it. And like we saw when I showcased it in Ultra League, a Granbull with no shields is a dead Granbull. The Confusion's already really chunked it down, but I used the Thunder Punch to take it out. This Aerodactyl is going to have to throw its energy. I would be able to hit it with a super effective Thunder Punch. They throw the Rock Slide. Back out comes Poliwrath, and we get to this Scald, and this is going to be more than enough to take the game. The opponent actually backs out, so they don't let us land, so GG's that opponent, and if you are watching, shout out to you for using triple shadows. So, moving on into this next battle, we've got a lead against a Mightyena. This is actually a double buffed Pokemon. Last season it had Poison Fang, which was buffed, and this season it's got Crunch that's buffed. That obviously is a bad matchup, as Poliwrath would be able to one-shot with Dynamic Punch, so they safe switch into Clefable. And I say switch into Drapion. Unfortunately, we haven't got Sludge Bomb, so we are just going to spam out Aqua Tails. We draw both shields, which is fine for us. Due to Drapion's Poison Dark typing, we do get chunked by Charm. This team is actually a bit weak to Charm, to be honest. I did see a lot of Charmers. However, up 2 shields, I can bring Hypno in. Shield up this, which I imagine will be a Meteor Mash. Which it is, they threw after 8. And the opponent now gives up switch. So we look to catch the move on our Poliwrath. I imagine this will be the Poison Fang, as it didn't have enough for the Crunch, which it is. Even debuff, we are resisting these Fire Fangs, so I overfarm to the back-to-back move. This first Scald should take him out. Actually, just one short, which is a bit unfortunate. I probably should have went for the Dynamic Punch. So we shield this up, and I'm going to look to see how much this Scald does to the Clefable. The Clefable is quite low, so this Scald should take him out. Which it does. And in the back they've got an Excadrill. So you can see here a couple of misplays on my part. I should have went for the Dynamic Punch. But luckily we are going to get out of jail here, as Hypno is quite bulky and we've got an Ice Punch to hit this Excadrill for neutral. So we outpace them to the back-to-back Ice Punch. And this Excadrill is actually running Mud Slap as well, so they're not generating energy that quickly. So GG's that opponent. Moving on to this next battle, we pick up yet another dreadful lead against the Jirachi. We safe switch into Drapion, and once again we're met with a Charmer. I know this is early season and early ranks, but it looks like this Remix Cup is just full of charm. I've hardly seen a single battle where someone isn't running a Charmer. So our Drapion is going to spam out these Aqua Tails, and once again we gain 2 shields. So like the last match, we're going to bring in Hypno, look to Confusion down and leave with a lot of energy. We'll shield this up. I imagine it is going to be a Thunderbolt, which it is. I believe that this runs Thunderbolt and Energy Ball, so even though it's a Charmer, it actually does have some decent charge moves, unlike a lot of Charmers. The opponent brings out a Zweilous. Zweilous is normally pretty safe against Hypno, but ours does run Ice Punch for this exact reason. We get the back-to-back Ice Punch in, which is going to take out the Zweilous, but we are now in a bit of a rough spot. We're going to see how good the buffed Poliwrath is. I've never used Shadow Poliwrath in the Great League. But I'm going to shield this up and look to go for a neutral Dynamic Punch. Like I said before, Dynamic Punch is better DPE than Scald. So let's see if this Dynamic Punch is enough to take out Jirachi. Dynamic Punch comes through almost one-shots and a couple of Mud Shots, and we simultaneously KO. We had the Hypno in the back with a few HP, so we take that match. GG's to that opponent. I think it's fair to say we can get a Poliwrath Jirachi counter confirmed. So in this next matchup, we pick up a lead against Frostalast. This usually is a really bad matchup, as it would resist our normal moveset. However, with Scald, we can at least hit for neutral. And with Shadows, I don't know how much this will do, but I'm hoping it does a lot, which it does. It's a pretty cool animation. So you can see there, I'm counting the Powder Snows. I'm looking to get this Scald off and catch the Shadow Ball on Drapion. The opponent does throw, so I'm hoping this isn't a bait, as the Avalanche would devastate us. You can see there the Shadow Ball also does a lot of damage. The opponent now switches out into a Surfetched. So we're looking to get these back-to-back Aqua Tails off before we get taken out, which we do. The Surfetched now is going to have to shield, which they do, so we're now at shield advantage. I'm going to bring in Hypno. They are at 7. They're only going to get 1 move, so I'm going to shield this up in case they're Brave Bird, which it is. So the opponent is playing all the right plays. They've not baited whatsoever. However, we have called all the right moves. We're going to see what the opponent wants to do. They make their first mistake of the match by bringing in the Frostless to give us some free farm. And in the back is a Registeel. Hypno Registeel is kind of a neutral matchup. However, Poliwrath obviously does have a much better matchup. I am counting the lock-ons. I look to catch the Flash Cannon, which we do unsuccessfully. So once again, a noob play by myself. But it is early season, so we are rusty. We are still trying to see if we can play. However, even with that mistake, this is pretty much a GG's. We're going to have to tank this Flash Cannon. You can see it does around 40%, and we're going to outpace into the back-to-back Thunder Punch. This first Thunder Punch will probably do around 20%, which it does, and this next Thunder Punch will do the remaining 15-20%. So GG's to that opponent. You can see even in the early ranks, some people are running some real meta teams, but we still managed to pull off the win. GG's to that opponent. Moving on into this next battle, we pick up a lead against a Nidoqueen. We've got some absolutely dreadful lag. You can see we're missing every other mud shot, which is great. However, we go straight for this Scold, and the opponent doesn't shield, so they get 1 shot, and they bring out their Charmer. So I'm hoping this isn't a double Charm team. Both moves are resisted by this little Cotton Ball Whimsicott, so we go for the Crunch, looking to get the attack drop, which we don't get. We do get a shield, so we're going again for this Crunch. You can see we get yet more lag. We're still lagging. This is 1.6 speeds. You can see it's quite a lot of lag. The opponent actually lets it go through, and in the back is an Obstagoon. So this is now really bad for us, as obviously Hypno has a dreadful matchup against Obstagoon. And Shadow Poliwrath is really squishy, so these counters do really add up. So I bring in the Hypno just to try and soak up some energy, as it has got a lot of energy right now. It's going to take 2 Night Slashes to take us out. I actually think we will survive this second one, which we do. So I now switch into Poliwrath. Now it's energy dry. I'm going to have to start shielding. I've got 2 shields. I know it's going to be a Night Slash, but a Night Slash even at this health would take us out. So we go now for a Scold. But this match is looking pretty over. We don't manage to get to the next move, so we do now get the Confusion through, and now it's going to be about under tapping. So we shield this move up. You can see I'm not tapping the screen, wait for the move to light up, and unfortunately we get taken out. So we could have won that match, even though we had a real bad matchup in the back, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. So moving on into this next battle, we pick up a good lead with our Poliwrath into Empoleon. They say switch into Wigglytuff, so we're going to spam out Aqua Tails once again to try and get shields down. Our Drapion is really good at getting shields off Charmers. We once again get both shields, and unfortunately just miss out on the third Aqua Tail. It's not really that important, as I do like to get as much energy as possible on Hypno. So we're going to shield this move up. It's an Ice Beam, and we're going to look to completely Confusion down. The Wigglytuff generating energy so slowly he isn't going to get to another move, and Hypno is almost at 100 energy. So this first Thunder Punch will get him down to about 50% health. And they do actually pull off a nice swap into a Steel Fairy type. I imagine this is Marwile, which it is actually a Shadow Marwile. So now they've given us another Wing Con. We're going to be able to come in with our Poliwrath. This is only a power-up punch. I'm not shielding, as obviously Fire Fangs are resisted. Even Shadow, they're not doing a lot. We're now at the back-to-back, so this Scold will be more than enough to take out Shadow Marwile. And a couple of Mud Shots, and we're going to take out this Empoleon. So once again, the new buff Shadow Poliwrath showing its worth. GG's to that opponent. So these were the early battles. You can see there I was 14-0 until I come up against that Obstagoon, where unfortunately my under tap went wrong, so we did take a loss. We went 21-4 overall with this team. Pretty solid team. I don't know if I'd recommend it. It was just thrown together trying to showcase some of the newly buffed Pokemon. However, I do believe Shadow Poliwrath has some real play. generates energy really quickly, and it's got 2 fantastic nukes. Drapion, once again, as always, is brilliant. However, I don't really like the Aqua Tail and Crunch. I think if you're going to run Crunch, you're going to have to still run Sludge Bomb. I think in Remix, you don't really need Aqua Tail. I did use Aqua Tail, obviously, in Great League because Bastiodon, Stunfisk, etc. were really common, and of course Swampert. So we was looking just to try and chunk some health down. So I would say that buffed Crunch Drapion is really good. However, if you're going to use Crunch, I would pair it with Sludge Bomb personally. So I'd just like to say thanks for watching, and I will be back now posting some more regular content. If you're a new subscriber, I'd just like to say thanks for joining the channel, and I will see you all in the next one.